The 12th year of being with Zane Swanson, I scrolled past a mutual friend's repost. A marriage certificate. His and some scholarship girls. The caption read, 7 hard years. Legal at last. For a moment, I just stared, certain it had to be some kind of prank. After all, everyone in our circle knew Zane loved me more than his own life. Years ago, protecting me, he'd taken 3 broken ribs and nearly died at a dinner table. I got in the car right away to go ask him myself. Instead, I overheard him talking with a friend. You married Cara Pruitt. What are you going to do when Crystal Donaldson finds out? Zane flicked the ash off his cigarette without a care in the world. With Crystal's busted body? After she aborted my kid, she never got pregnant again, not once in all these years. A hen that can't lay eggs. Who'd want her once she's away from me? Cara's different. The girl's stuck with me all these years. I owe her a proper title. A sharp cramp twisted through my lower belly. Fighting down the nausea of morning sickness, I dialed my father, the richest man in the city. Dad, I misjudged him. I regret everything. Come take me home. By the time I'd finished the paperwork and came home, Cara was wrapped in my pajamas, sitting on our bed painting her nails. The second she saw me, she pointed at the underthings scattered all over the floor from their heat-of-the-moment tangle. A shy flush still colored her pretty cheeks. Take these and wash them for me. The enormous diamond ring on her finger flashed in my eyes with every move she made. Yesterday morning, when I'd found this ring in Zane's pocket, I'd actually thought our 12 years were finally bearing fruit that he meant to propose. I'd even pulled it out, giddy, and slipped it on to try. Even when it didn't fit, I never suspected a thing. I'd been planning to tuck the ultrasound report into his hand as my answer, the moment Zane produced the ring and gave it to me. These are all real silk. They can't go in the washer. You have to scrub them carefully by hand. They're expensive, understand. Cara lifted her chin and ordered me around, full of haughty pride. Like a beautiful little canary, pampered to perfection. Nothing at all like the pitiful student I'd seen 7 years ago, barefaced in a worn-out t-shirt, working part-time at a barbecue stand to pay for school. Forced to put up with the harassment of drunk customers. She was the first student I'd offered to fund, back when Zane's startup was just starting to find its footing, and I was at his side through it. Probably because those years I'd spent living in a basement, running myself ragged to land projects for him, drinking until my stomach bled, bowing and scraping and forcing smiles just to scrape by, had been so brutal. I couldn't stand to see a girl like her suffer the same way for survival. So, in the company's name, I'd personally wired her the funding every year. When I didn't move, Cara pulled $50 from her wallet and tossed it, along with the dirty clothes, into my arms. Here, a tip for you. I had no intention of reaching out to take it. The clothes and the cash scattered across the floor. Cara's eyes went red on the spot. That was the moment Zane walked out of the bathroom, a towel wrapped around his waist. Years ago, a major client had taken a liking to my looks. He'd insisted I go to a hotel with him to have some fun before he'd sign the contract. It had enraged Zane so much he flipped the table right there. The scar from the ribs that man's lackeys had broken, protecting me, was still that vivid. Now Cara, all soft skin and warm sweetness, threw herself against him and covered it clean from view. Zane, baby, the housekeeper's giving these such mean looks. Hearing Cara order me around like a maid, Zane froze for a beat, a flicker of unease crossing his face. But the instant he saw Cara's fragile, wounded little face, he instinctively tucked her against his side. His face went cold on the spot. She's a sweet, innocent girl. Don't go scaring her. It felt like someone had shoved an old, filthy rag down my throat. The nausea rose until I couldn't stop my face from going gray. Zane frowned, like he wanted to smooth something over. He grabbed a necklace from the cabinet and tossed it down in front of me. Here, this is for you. Just clear out for a few days, and once things settle down. I could barely hear what he was saying. The 2 words stamped on the necklace box, promotional gift, stabbed at my eyes until they ached, until my voice cracked. I'll leave. I turned and walked into the other room to dig out my papers. Kara followed at my side, the necklace box in her hands, prettily pressing it into my arms again and again. Don't feel bad about taking it. This necklace is expensive, sure, but my family has plenty of money. And I don't even like it, so giving it to a servant is no big deal. It's my wedding gift, after all. I hope you'll find a man someday who loves you as much as mine loves me. She smiled, bright and guileless, the very picture of a kind and generous lady of the house. All I felt was the irony of it. I lifted my head and looked toward the doorway. At the man who used to light up just looking into my eyes, who once said he loved me to the bone. Zane's brow only knit tighter. Even his expression had soured. He motioned for Kara to step out first. Once the door closed, Zane came over, his hand clamping down hard around my wrist. He sighed, his tone weary, like he was coaxing a child who didn't know any better. Crystal, I know this hurts you. But a man worth what I'm worth. What's wrong with keeping a few women around? His voice dropped low, threaded with that coaxing lilt. Besides, Kara's a simple girl. It took me ages to win her over. She stood by me for 7 years. A man has to take responsibility. You've always been so understanding, so considerate. You'll see where I'm coming from, won't you? His voice wasn't loud, yet every word landed like a hammer, pounding until my chest bled. I lowered my head and pulled my hand free of his. I didn't want to say a single word to him. I grabbed my suitcase and turned to leave. My silence set Zane off. His face twisted, and he kicked my suitcase. Crystal Donaldson, don't you dare throw my generosity back in my face. The case flew across the room, slammed into the wall, and split open. He stared down at me, his eyes cold and cutting. I kept you. I never cut off your cards, let you live in a mansion, drive a luxury car, and that's still not enough. If you want to blame someone, blame your own useless womb. His gaze swept over my stomach like it was a patch of dead, worthless ground. You expect me to stay with you and die without an heir? Every word drove straight into me, every one cut to the bone. I froze where I stood, the blood in my veins turning to ice. My first child with him had come by accident, back when Zane was at his poorest. Back then, he couldn't even afford to take on a single project. We were so broke the 2 of us split one box meal. Next month's rent depended on my odd shifts at the convenience store. We didn't even have the money for a proper clinic procedure. All I could do was buy the cheapest pills and force it through at home. It was long, and it was brutal. The whole night, I curled up on the bed, the pain dragging me in and out of consciousness, blood soaking the sheets until I nearly passed out. Zane knelt by the bed, his eyes red, his hands shaking as he fed me sips of warm sugar water, his voice choking with sobs. Crystal, I'm so sorry. I swear, I'll spend my whole life making it up to you. I'll work myself to death before I ever let you suffer like this again. The vow still burned in my ears. The man standing before me was a stranger now. All at once, I felt bone-tired. I remembered how I'd cried and begged my father, who'd been dead set against this marriage, to give me one chance to prove Zane Swanson was worth it. To prove he wasn't some good-for-nothing pauper, that he'd never love me and leave me the way my father warned he would. In the end, the only thing I proved was my own stupidity. Maybe a small, stubborn part of me still couldn't let it go. So I made myself ask, she gave you 7 years, so you owe her. And what about the 12 years I gave you, fighting for everything you have? Zane crossed his arms and let out a contemptuous snort. That was your choice. Nobody forced you. I couldn't hold it back anymore. I bolted into the bathroom and retched until there was nothing left. Zane panicked and reached for me on instinct. His broad palms spread across my back, pulling me into his chest. Is it your stomach acting up again? Back when I'd helped him chase deals to build his company, I downed bottle after bottle of liquor and wrecked my stomach for good. For years afterward, the sudden cramps would twist through me until death seemed kinder than living. The smell of antiseptic in the hospital and the sight of Zane's back as he rushed to take a number in line. In that hazy moment, it all blurred together with a memory from 12 years ago. Back then, he didn't even own a car. He'd carried me on his back, running 3 blocks in the dead of night. My hand drifted to the swell of my belly without thinking. If the father of this little one knew he existed. But in the next second, someone shoved me hard from behind. My whole body slammed into the cold, hard wall, and the pain shot through me as if every bone had shattered. Kara stood in front of me, tears welling, fury and grievance pouring out of her voice. You knew we were married, so why are you still throwing yourself at my husband? The words dropped, and in an instant every pair of eyes in the room swung toward me. The whispers came at me thick and fast, hammering from all sides. Look at her, all sweet and innocent, and she knows she's the other woman. Shameless. They've already signed the papers, and she's still clinging on. She'd better watch out, or karma will leave her babies bald as eggs. The pain left me weak all over, and my back slid down the icy wall. People came and went around me, but not one of them reached out to help. Every last one of them saw me as the homewrecker tearing apart someone else's marriage. A flicker of triumph crossed Kara's eyes, and she raised her hand to strike my face. Forcing down the pain ripping through me, I caught her wrist. My eyes had gone cold as ice. Whether I'm the other woman, you know perfectly well in your heart. Kara flinched on instinct, a trace of unease passing over her face. Then, in the very next breath, the tears poured down. She clutched her belly and cringed back, her face a mask of terror. The picture-perfect victim, beaten down by my cruelty. Let me go. Don't hurt my baby. My stomach hurts so much. Zane had just finished getting his number in line, and he came tearing over almost at a sprint. One look at the scene before him, and without a single word, he drew his arm back wide. A sharp, ringing slap cracked across my face. He hit me hard. My head snapped sideways, half my cheek instantly swelling, raw and stinging, my ear ringing in a long, dull buzz. My whole body staggered and crumpled to the freezing floor. I lifted my eyes to Zane, unable to believe it. He stared at the angry red mark blazing on my face, his fingertips trembling faintly, something like panic flashing through his eyes for a heartbeat. But only for heartbeat. Then he wrapped himself tight around the tear-streaked Kara, shielding her like some precious, fragile jewel. He turned back to me, grinding the words out through clenched teeth. Crystal Donaldson, when did you turn this vicious? If my wife or my child suffers so much as a scratch today, I will never let you walk away from this. Now get down on your knees and apologize to Kara right now. A bitter, mocking smile tugged at my lips. 12 years of a heart laid bare, and what had it bought me? The crowd kept swelling. Just apologize already. A mistress getting smacked around? She had it coming. Of all the things she could do with her life, she picks wrecking someone else's marriage. Every word was a blade, carving into my chest. I braced myself against the wall and rose slowly, too worn out to keep feeding Zane's little circus. I turned to leave, but his grip clamped down on my wrist. The force of it felt like it would crush the bones in my hand. He dragged me back like a dead dog hauled across the floor. He bent to my ear, the corner of his mouth curling into something cruel, his voice dropping low. Didn't you tell me your old man from that backwater town just came to Harbiden to see you? Imagine if every street in the city was plastered with private photos of his daughter. Think those old bones of his could take it? My whole body went rigid, my pupils shrinking to pinpoints. Blood caught in my throat, too thick to swallow, too lodged to spit out. The man in front of me looked like a monster I'd never known. Watching my face go paper white, he tipped up the corner of his mouth and gave his phone a little wave. Crystal Donaldson, don't go thinking you're tough enough to flip the table on me. Those photos were taken when our love ran deepest. Zayn had said he wanted to capture me at my most beautiful, so I'd handed myself over to him, whole and complete, full of love and trust. I never imagined they'd become the leash he'd used to break me. I met his eyes, Zayn straightened up. From the moment we lost the first child, I swore I'd never let a child of mine come to any harm again. Anyone who dares hurt my child, I'll make her wish she were dead. My eyes stung and swelled. I honestly couldn't tell whether I should cry or laugh. He was paying off the debt he owed my child by lavishing it on someone else's. How absurd. How pitiful. I watched him pull up the photo album, thumb hovering over send. I squeezed my eyes shut and dropped to my knees in front of Kara with a dull thud. My knees slammed into the marble floor with a heavy crack. I'm sorry. The excitement in Kara's eyes nearly spilled over as she directed me, savoring every second. Say you had no business being a mistress, seducing another woman's husband. If you've got the nerve to be the other woman, you'd better have the nerve to pay for it. Zayn stood off to the side, his brow knitting on reflex. But in the end, he said nothing. I stared up at the man before me in despair, jaw clenched so hard my tongue pressed out a mouthful of metallic sweetness. I forced the words out through gritted teeth. I had no business being a mistress, seducing another woman's husband. Pud, 3 kowtows. A dead silence settled behind my eyes. Satisfied now. I held my back straight against the waves of insults and condemnation breaking over me from the crowd. A magnanimous little smile bloomed on Kara's face as she bent down and reached out to help me up. Good that you know you were wrong. Come on, get up. I can forgive you now. But the instant her fingers brushed my sleeve, she yanked with sudden, vicious force, dragging me forward, so I pitched straight down. Instinct told me to dodge, but my body wouldn't obey. Kara's grip hauled me with her, and I was forced to crash to the floor alongside her. She clutched her stomach, tears flooding out in an instant. Ah, it hurts so much. Zayn, she's not apologizing for real at all. She's still trying to use this to hurt our baby. The stares around me stabbed into me like knives. That woman is rotten to the core. She's on her knees and still pulling tricks. Has she no shame at all? Zayn moved almost on instinct. He shoved me hard, sending me crashing to the floor. Crystal Donaldson, you are beyond saving. Then he turned, bent down, and scooped Kara into his arms, his voice gone unbearably tender. Don't be scared, Kara. I'll take you to the doctor. The baby will be fine. My back and stomach slammed against the public hospital bench, and pain ripped through me until my whole body shook. Something deep in my battered abdomen felt like it was dragging downward. The cramps came in waves, like a dull blade twisting inside me. In that instant, panic clamped around my heart. Trembling, I reached up and clutched at the hem of Zayn's trousers. Zayn, my stomach hurts. It hurts so much. He glanced down at me, his eyes full of disgust. Stop faking. A stomachache won't kill you. Don't embarrass yourself here. Cold sweat poured out of me, soaking through every layer of my clothes in seconds. I curled on the floor, hands pressed to my belly, forcing the words out. It's not my stomach, it's lower. Zayn looked down on me from his full height, one corner of his mouth lifting into an icy sneer dripping with contempt. Watching someone else get pregnant, are you jealous? Want to put on a show and beg for sympathy too? All these years, with that useless body of yours, did you ever once carry a child? Every word was a poisoned needle driving straight into my deepest wound. Some people you should never have hoped for, not from the very start. Clinging to my last shred of strength, I fumbled for my phone. desperate to call my father. I wanted to go home. I had to get out of here right now. Kara nestled against him, the picture of selfless concern for Zain, and laid the blame on me. Do you have to make a scene in front of everyone and humiliate Zain? Those words lit the fuse on his fury. He stepped forward, ripped the phone from my hand, threw it to the floor, and ground it under his heel until it shattered. Nothing left in his eyes but pure revulsion. Crystal Donaldson, haven't you had enough? The nurse on duty noticed how bad I looked and realized something was wrong. She hurried over, trying to lift me and get me to the emergency room. But Zain blocked her. Leave her. It's a bad habit we've spoiled into her. Let her sit in that room and reflect on how vicious she is. The nurse hesitated, but she really doesn't look well. Zain simply called in his connections at the hospital, his face cold as he leaned on them. He gave an explicit order. No staff was to treat me. Then he turned and carried Kara into the VIP room. 3 hours later, after he'd stayed by her side through a full examination and confirmed Kara was perfectly fine, he finally remembered to come check on me. Zain stood in the doorway, arms crossed, leaning against the frame. He let out a sigh, as if making some great concession. Kara's young. She can't handle being upset. Getting the marriage certificate was just to put her at ease. It's only a piece of paper. You've been with me all these years. So what if there's no paper? You should know you matter most to me. Stop making trouble. I bought you a ticket to the Maldives. Go clear your head. And when your dad comes to Harbin, he can work at the company too. I'll arrange a job for him as a security guard. But no one in the room answered him. There wasn't even the sound of breathing. Zain frowned, sensing something was off. He crossed to the bedside in 2 quick strides and yanked back the blanket. Zain froze. The vast spread of crimson stung his eyes until they ached.